I think so. Before I begin, I just wanted to kind of say, so as Steffi said, I was on BGP back in 2007, and it was at a time when my business had grown, and it sort of got to a point where I was getting a bit frustrated because I wanted to really make it grow. And being part of the BGP program was a life changer for me, and it really helped me see things in a different way, and it unleashed in me an ability to bring the team together to make a meaningful difference. And since going on the program, we have 32 million people who are or have used our products and services, and that's been amazing for us. And I think actually doing the program is a way of being kind to ourselves as well, because quite often you probably spend more time putting your car through a service than you would actually thinking about yourself. So doing something like BGP is a really important thing to do. The program that you're doing enables you to kind of look at yourself, reflect on things in a way that puts it at arm's length, which is very difficult, particularly when you're working from home. So I'm really pleased that to be able to speak to you tonight. And what I thought I would do, in line with sort of where you're at the moment, is talk you through what we've been doing since the pandemic happened, and what we're doing now, moreover, really for the future. So just a little bit of background. So Novacroft was the name of my mum's kennel. She had Labradors. We had 18 of them, and my mum showed them around the world. And unfortunately, in the year before I started Novacroft, which is a catalyst, was I lost both my parents. They died of cancer, and it was such a life-changing set of events that it made me realize that life's short. And at the same time that was happening, or that happened, we were coming up to a new millennium. And in my Apple career and my Westinghouse robotics career and corporate life, I sort of seen there was a great opportunity with the emergence of sort of the internet and things like that. But there's also this terrible thing I felt in corporates at the time, which was an abuse of power, if you like. And I didn't particularly like how they were operating. So for me, I founded Novacroft, and it's born on sort of three pillars, really. The main pillar is about people first. And it's the belief that there's something amazing in everybody. And it's about unleashing that talent and bringing it together. For the sum is greater than the individual parts. And then it's about solving big problems and using technology to help solve some of those problems and deliver great value and overall to make a meaningful difference to society. So that's a little bit about us. We work in the transport sector, the charity sector, the energy sector, central government, local government, on projects that, for instance, the Oyster card. We developed the system behind the Oyster card, and all the infrastructure, all the customer care, etc. And we currently have 536 team members. When the lockdown hit, income went down by 95%. And in terms of running a business, you'll know that everybody has a moment that says, gosh, what now? What do we do about this? And I think the remarkable thing about everybody that's running a business is the resource inside us all to be able to say, life's a journey and we can make it count. And there's never been a better time to be a leader than now, because we have it in our grasp to protect lives and protect livelihoods. And it's how we harness that and the endeavors that we do that enable us to make a meaningful difference. So I'm just going to share some slides with you now about the approach that I've taken along this journey. So the slides I'm about to share with you are really the part that we're doing now. So actually, just before I do that, so what we did in the early days, And again, a lot of inspiration from Cranfield, from Steffi and the team, is looking at, so we started with a triage phase, and we have a site in Northampton which has 26,000 square feet, and we have another site further over as well with another sort of, I think, I don't know, 14, 15,000 square feet, something like that. And we took everybody off site apart from a few. And we did lots and lots of scenario planning in our triage phase. We went into our stabilize phase. We did a lot of predictive work, and we involved the whole team so that everybody in the team knew exactly what was going and they could contribute. And then we started our revive phase. And in the stabilize, we connected with more people. We helped our clients and our markets understand the things that we were doing to get out of the problem in order to help them. That was successful, and we not only replenished the income that we had as a result of that, we've grown also. So now I'm going to share with you, so what next? Well, first of all, whilst I'm sharing what next, is to say there are, so just let me look, there are 56 days left of this year, and they are 56 very meaningful days. So let me just, could I just ask, can you see my slides? Cool, fantastic. So let me just bring you back over here. So basically, we had a revive and thrive plan. That was our triage, stabilize, and start to thrive. And in that time, everything sort of was condensed down to 100 days, and very, very precise in terms of who was doing what, how they were doing it, when they were doing it, etc., etc. We did an awful lot of arms around the team, helping the team feel that they belong, they have a purpose, and they're making a difference. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as I'm going through. This phase is about pace to protect and to thrive. So let me talk you through what we're doing. Right. So the approach to planning, and I might add that I've just cobbled these slides together. So from another one. So you might find, I'm hoping you won't see any spelling mistakes, but if you do, I apologize. So the approach to planning was to really reflect on the performance this year. So we looked at really what success was like, what were our great successes, what things weren't so successful, and to sort of, if you like, a game of two halves, and to really look at those. And since the beginning of the business, I've had a very open approach with all team members across the whole organization to embrace talent. Then we're looking at headlights on the future. What does success look like for us? What's holding us back? And what I'm calling our 5-lane plan. So I'm just going to go through those things now to give you a little bit more detail. So in terms of what the future looks like. So whilst we were in the initial phases of the pandemic, the initial lockdown, and slightly beyond then when things started to stabilize, we were, as I said, we were looking at 100 days out and continuing like that. What we're doing now is looking 100 years out, having a thought about what that might look like, and then coming nearer to home to 2030. What will be the impact of the fourth industrial revolution? What will the pandemic look like in those terms? How will it affect organizations that we work with? How will it affect humanity? What will it do to consumer spending and to governments, etc.? So looking at all of those things to give us a bigger picture. And it's quite therapeutic in one sense, because whilst living in the here and now can be something comforting, it's actually also quite claustrophobic. So doing that, and then looking from a point of view of opportunity. So what opportunities are there out there for Novacroft? where do we currently operate? What do those markets look like? What are the adjacent markets to us? So looking at those sort of things. And then what are our threats? So we've got to ensure that we are leapfrogging our competitors, that we understand what our clients need and what the future looks like for them. Or, you know, there's a part of saying many organizations could become extinct, and we've created a diagnostic tool to identify how quickly some organizations would become extinct if they didn't do anything. So that helps. And then looking at the opportunities, we looked at how we can seize them. So what do we need to do in order to seize those opportunities? And I'll come back. And then looking at it then in terms of what are the problems we can solve? What are the problems that we can solve right now? What are the problems that actually, if we replicate some things, modify some things, we could solve even greater problems? And then what's our uniqueness? What makes us different from our competitors, or just generally what makes us special? And to bring it to life, we've also looked at, well, who are we like? Who do we want to be like? And we've always fashioned ourselves somewhat on Deloitte and Gartner to an extent, but Deloitte in the way that they support organizations and the way they go about their business. And I think then it's also, there's a statement that says, our future lies in our past. So it has been very interesting to think back to before I started Novacroft. And I remember very distinctly in the turmoil of the loss of my parents and thinking about, I need to make my life count. I need to make a difference. Thinking about Novacroft, it has always been, as I said early on, it's always been about people. It's always been about solving problems, and from people, belonging, the purpose, and making a difference. And the sum is greater than the individual parts. And I think that we do very well at simplifying complex stuff, essentially. And so when I thought about that, started to look like, what does success look like for Novacroft? I have removed some stuff, otherwise you'll be able to work out a lot of stuff. But to give you a phrase, so for me now, initially, people first. So we want to have 1,000 team members. Why do we want 1,000 team members? Well, if we look around us at the moment, as we know, the economy is nosediving. The fourth industrial revolution will take jobs. And so it's my responsibility as a leader in this country to try and protect as many people and their families and the community as I possibly can. And to not only recruit them, but also to help prepare them, to reskill them, upskill them, help them navigate the future, the next 10 years, so that they are equipped for the fourth industrial revolution. Why start with people first? Why start with 1,000 team members? Well, if I can get the right team members, then I can deliver here around 180,000 days of added value. And those days of added value will make a massive, meaningful difference to the clients that we partner with. It matters to our team for opportunity, our problem solved, and the community less poverty. So, so what's sort of stopping us? So when we look at that, so what does it, what we often have is in organizations, and you know, we're no different to any other organization in one sense, is that we talk about success and we are very able to come together with a strong culture. We're very able to come together across the organization to make things happen. There are things that stop us. It is about resilience. So we've got opportunity, we've got innovation. We can see what the future looks like. We can navigate towards it. We can keep an eye on that. We can partner with people like Gartner and other organizations to get the right insights. We can identify growth. We can get the right talent if we want the right talent. We can get support. Then there's two other areas, and the things that could stop us getting that growth and being able to recruit 1,000 team members. And I've broken that into two parts. On the right-hand side is failure demand, and on the left-hand side are the blockers. Now, I want to start first of all with the failure demand. And if you like, it's the capacity and profit thief. So it's things in your organization that cost you money and yet add no value. And even the leanest of organizations will find pockets of this. It may be where you don't have joined up systems. It may be where you've got a process, but somebody started to do it differently. It may be a long-winded process to raise a purchase order or to get a business case signed off, et cetera, et cetera. So in order to seize opportunity, you have to have the capacity to be able to do it. So we spent a lot of time looking at that area of our business. And then turning to the blockers, we all know now that we are working at home, and I've realized this evening it's Thursday, and for some unknown reason this week I have done no exercise, which has really aggravated me. I feel like my bones are disintegrating in my legs because I've not moved. It's ridiculous, sorry. But we aren't moving much unless we make, so I'm calling myself into a meeting tomorrow morning to get some exercise. It's not right, but it is difficult in this environment. So blockers are about the conduct, if you like, exhibited, and we're asking people to work at pace, and it's different to speed. So we're asking people, when we went through the triage phase and throughout this year, we've done a lot of work at pace, things in our organization that we would never have been able to do before. The process and the reticence of doing something so mighty in such a fast pace of time was completely off our agenda, if you like, even though we work in dog years. But this year we have. So how do we do that? How do we harness those things? And working at pace is a bit like, you don't expect somebody who's really good at 100 meter race to run a marathon at the same pace. It's about maintaining the pace. It's very easy to go off. Things that we're seeing is fatigue, frustration, avoidance, many things like that. And it is about understanding that a lot of people do not like change. And it's fair to say at this time that all of this is affecting all of us. It's going in, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's going right at the bottom of the core of those things, and it's affecting us. So a big thing for me and for my whole team is arms around the team. And there's two parts to it. I do call it kindness, and kindness is thoughtful action. It's thoughtful action is also not accepting underperformance. So there are some people in our organization, in my organization, that have been underperforming and have been accepted as to do that. And it is not acceptable. And we've made some big changes in that area. Some people, you can help them, and other people, we have to accept that the job isn't right for them and to change that. In other areas, in terms of thoughtful action, it is really understanding the fact that this is a traumatic time for a lot of us, and we have invested a lot in terms of psychological support, counselling. We've just finished Novacroft, a virtual festival for all of our team. I meet with the team every week. We have conversations about how they're feeling, just different things, what's happening in the business. We have a Let's Thrive program, which is encouraging people to come up with great ideas. I'm now going out and expanding my management team. That is now no longer about a management team, it's about the whole organization. So I'm looking for talent from around the organization to help move us forward, and talk about that in a moment. So everything we can do and I can do to help every single person in my organization feel that they can belong, make a difference, have a purpose and make a difference is vitally important. And every single key depression, every conversation, every action that they take makes a difference. And so, you know, we have any idea we do with big breakfasts, Nova breakfasts, to HIT classes, to choirs, to Ibiza sound sessions, to everything, HIT session of whatever. We've got lots of learning with and guest speakers and things like that to help everybody get involved. So we've got that. We're looking in terms of risk. So what's our appetite for risk is important. How do we mitigate that risk facing things? What we have found in the organization is a little bit like, I call it the unopened bank statement. And what I mean by that is, it's part of avoidance. Is there are things that happen that actually it's easy for people to turn a blind eye to. So the unopened bank statement is, you know that you're overdrawn, but if you open it, you'll know just how much. But actually, once you've opened it, it's probably better because then you can do something about it. So it really is, we can overcome risk and identify those. Our products and services, looking at our products and services for the long term, thinking now sort of 10 years ahead, what do we need to do with those products and invest in them? And again, with sales, it's about, so what blockers might we have in there? They may be about the reticence for our clients to want to buy at the moment. And that's about maneuvering into a necessity position. That sort of gives you a flavor of those. And just moving on to the plan. So looking at the failure demand, looking at what we've done well this year, looking at our opportunities, looking at our barriers, we've defined a 5-lane plan. So the fast lane of anything we've done at lightning speed this year and during lockdown that we can do again. And that splits in 2 parts. So we have things that we can easily replicate, amplify, move on, and really crack on with it. And then there are some things in there that we need to stabilize. In the growth lane, these are, you know, great opportunities. What can we do to leapfrog our competitors and take advantage of those? And there may be regulatory changes that we can benefit from in that area. The fixer lane are things that come from the failure demand. So things that we're doing, we're spending money, they're complex processes, too much admin, however you want to describe it, that we can sort. And we're prioritizing those in the biggest impact that return on investment will get. Then we've got the slow lane. The slow lane is things where perhaps we might have been thinking of doing some upgrades and we've decided actually we don't need to go to that extent. We can do it like this instead. We may freeze some projects that we think that whilst they might be useful to us, don't serve us in the next 12 months or now. And then there's the exit lane, and I mentioned a little bit about that earlier. There are some pet projects and things that people really like that are not going to add value in the near term. So we're exiting those. And there may be some people that actually are devaluing the performance of others that need to leave the organization. And that gives you a flavor of it. So the kind of so what about all of that? So it's all about collaboration. So we've got lots of things to do. People can only make a difference if they're part of it, and they can't be part of it if I just tell everybody what it is. So everything that I've done so far, and there's a lot more detail, obviously, when we're talking to my team, is about where we're at, what the markets look like, what the sector, what opportunities there are, etc. Then what we've been doing, or what I've been doing really, is working with many people from my organisation to explore what is failure demand. And we have a programme called Let's Thrive, and that is asking people to look at what they're doing, look around them, and see what would they do differently about it. And the response has been fantastic. And there's a team, that the team members that are coming with those ideas are going to a team and presenting those ideas, and then they're coming to me to champion those ideas. Great. And we have some fantastic ideas that are going to make a massive difference. So we're really exploring that. We're exploring everything around the organisation, talking about the barriers. So with my team, I've got some fantastic talent in my organisation. I'm so proud to work alongside them. When we look at, you know, how we operate ourselves, it's sort of understanding, and we've had some very amazingly open conversations to help each of us overcome some of those barriers. We're also looking at rethinking the value in the eyes of our clients and in the eyes of our team. What do we need to do, and what do we need to change? And all of that leads to the preparation of the 5-lane plan. And the task force for running those projects in the plans will come from around the organisation. And the amazing thing about this time is that it enables us to think creatively, to think about things. We can do anything we want. We don't have to live by the hierarchy that's traditional in businesses. In fact, you know, the traditional last decade stuff is well and truly gone, and now we can get a talented group of people from everywhere in the organisation, bring them together to make best likelihood of the organisation being able to grow. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. I talked about, you know, it's all about people. Everything is about people, and we have an absolute mission to save the charity sector. There are 1.25 million jobs in the charity sector that the volunteers in the charity sector provide. The work that the charity sector does is immense, and it is on a knife edge. And we have a purpose to save 40 of those organisations, to make a meaningful difference to them, to make a meaningful difference to COVID recovery, and to make a meaningful difference in the transport sector, local and central government, by protecting lives and protecting livelihoods. And everything comes down to people and kindness. And I started this session by saying you're being incredibly kind to yourself by being here on your BGP journey, because it is helpful to you. But I'd also say to you, please be kind to yourselves in other ways too, and take time, have some rituals, and do things that make you feel good at this time, because it's very easy not to feel like that. And at this time, our teams need us. So if we don't look after ourselves, so I've told myself off for not doing my exercise, which I really enjoy doing this week, and we'll be back on it. But it is important that we take time out for ourselves. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Stephanie.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Deborah. I mean, there's always lots of nuggets in there. The one thing that in the beginning stood out, I can't believe it's only 57 days left. How quickly has this year gone, which is rather intimidating and worrying. You talked about your 5 lanes, actually, in terms of your fast projects. You know, could you maybe share an example of what this was for you this year? You talked about your
in the fast lane. Shall I stop sharing because I can.
Okay, that'd be great. Then I think we can all see.
I can't. I've lost my. Thanks. Hold on, bear with me. No, it's disappeared from me. Oh, hold on. I've been on so many different